worked out.
I'm heartbroken.
Yeah. I'm almost tempted to make a crack about the fact when they tried to transport his remains there, they fell off the hearse there, and people got a little overexcited there, but such is the way with fanaticism, I suppose, in that part of the world. So,
however, if the Ayatollah Khomeini had been able to avail himself of life extension and lived longer, he might have gotten smarter and become a nicer Ayatollah.
Well, I think you're really pushing life extension there, Barbara. I know you're a staunch believer, but that might have been too much to take. All right. Well, let's talk about this. And in fact, before we get into this exactly, you had a comment on our gentleman last morning, our fellow from Daniel Smith from Unaria, so you've had run-ins with them before, and their particular beliefs, they have their own method of immortality, which is somewhat different from what you espouse.
Yes, that's quite true.
But that's another story, and you can, according to them, when we're all rescued in the year 2001 by 33 alien spaceships, then we'll all have peace and contentment and joy after that.
So far, I don't believe Lloyd's of London has had to pay off a single vet with them.
I don't know if they've even had the nerve to make a policy for that. But, well, they insure everything else.
Well, she makes a bet with Lloyd's of London every year.
Yeah. That's Uriel, whatever it is. Anyway, well, that's enough of that.
Another subject.
Okay, very good. We're going to talk about the subject of life extension. We had an acquaintance of yours, Dirk Pearson, on some weeks ago. And, of course, they had written the book, he and Sandy Shaw, called Life Extension, which dealt from their point of view mainly through nutrition and vitamins. You can extend your life perhaps up to double what is considered the normal 77 of today.
Yes.
And is that basically what life extension is all about, or is there more to it?
There's a whole lot more to it. Nutrition is one of the only one aspect of how you can deal with it. You can avoid certain diseases by using nutrition, or rather, you use vitamins and higher than the RDA level, there's antioxidants to prevent cancer and heart disease, which are the two major killers. But there are other things. They're looking right now for the death hormone, for instance. They're trying to get funds up. They estimate $6 million might be able to find something that would block or cure the death hormone. And that research is planned and underway at this time. And the main hope of life extenders, though, is if nutrition fails for them, which it will do because of biological clocks and things like the death hormone, is nanotechnology, which has been predicted by technology experts at MIT. There's a book out called Engines of Creation by K. Eric Drexler. And this book details the hope of the future in nanotechnology. And what this means is tiny little virus-sized machines that can go in and repair your cells at the molecular level. And they can do this, you get an injection and they can do it. They can cure aging this way because you'll be able to deal at the molecular level with your cells. Mm-hmm. And, this is one of the main hopes of the future. This is why people are being frozen with the Alcor Foundation and TransTime and a couple of the other cryonic societies. If you have a disease or something that you just can't, hang on, you can have the option of having yourself frozen. And they predict that nanotechnology not only will be able to cure current illnesses and diseases and aging and so forth, but they will also be able to undo the damage done by freezing.
Mm-hmm. Our number 344-9347, by the way, if you'd like to join in this morning, we'll have the whole hour to talk about life extension. Are you talking, do you believe in the possibility that humanity can wipe out mortality? Is that where you're headed, or are you talking about
yes and no.
Extension of doubling your present lifespan or something like that?
Yes and no. We are, strictly speaking, immortalists, and what that means is not that we believe that any individual can in practice live forever. There's, after all, a Mack truck can take us out on the way home. A meteor 200 feet wide can come down and get us. There's life, heat, death of the universe. Nobody can actually live forever in that sense.
But you feel you can do something about natural causes?
Well, but aging, death by aging or disease can be cured, and in particular, aging is a disease. The standard medical establishment and the FDA does not currently think of it that way. They think of it as a natural process, but so are many other diseases in the past. And it turns out that there's been a great deal of medical research into aging. There's only been a very few scientists interested in it, but there are three basic causes of aging that have been uncovered. The first, and the one that hits you a lot and is also responsible for a lot of degenerative diseases such as heart disease and cancer, are the oxidants in your body, and that's where vitamins and other micronutrients help. They can prevent those problems immediately. But that's only short term because that's only one of the 3 identified causes of aging. The second cause is something called a death hormone, which is a hormone put out by the pituitary and closely associated with the growth hormone. And as you get older, the body starts putting out what they call the death hormone, to which Barbara was referring to earlier, and it causes degenerative changes progressively through the entire body, and eventually the changes accumulate to the point that they kill you. That hormone has been at least partially identified, and there is currently underway a funding project with the Life Extension Foundation to fund a project to find a cure for it, and they believe that cure can be found with a project, as she was saying, around $6 million.
Is what you call the death hormone something that you begin emitting immediately upon birth, or is it after a certain age? Or?
It's after a certain age, but it's not directly age-linked. It seems to be more of a matter of the more of certain other hormones you put out, the closer you get to putting it out, and it gradually starts up. But typically, your mid-20s, early 30s, it starts going out in stronger and stronger amounts. And of course, it's different for different people. And the final cause of aging is something called a aging clock, which is present in every individual cell. Now, the aging clock prevents unlimited multiplication of your cells. So after about 60 divisions, the divisions of the cells gradually slow down and stop, and the organism dies. However, the first cause of aging right now is the nutrients, and a nutrient program can extend your life, and even if it does not succeed in completely extending your life, it can improve your health and mental alertness and just your general vitality. And so from that standpoint, you can do something today with vitamins and micronutrients. And there are quite a few of those out there that can assist. There's even some of those that have shown to actually extend lifespan by 50% in some other species. And of course, none of those have been fully tested on mankind, but if you wait for a full test on mankind, then of course you're dead. So it's kind of a matter, you look at the evidence and you decide to do something about it while picking things that are comparatively safe, so you know they're not going to hurt you. Maybe an individual element won't help you, but at least it won't hurt you.
If you talk to the skeptics, and here we have a situation where in the biblical stories that people in the early days that lived to well into their hundreds, and then it began to taper off to your traditional 70 course, so the lifespan has increased over the years, mainly through people being more careful, and the diseases weren't as rampant and they were controlled. But basically the lifespan through the centuries has not changed all that much. What you could expect, your average lifespan has increased, but
that's correct. The maximum envelope, what you call your maximum lifespan, has not increased. People in Rome, many people in Rome live just as long as people live today. The difference is that your infant mortality was far, far higher. Many more people died in childbirth of diseases like pneumonia. Barbara here, for example, has had pneumonia about 6 times. I doubt seriously she'd be with us today without modern medicine.
And of course, being at war all the time didn't help all that much either. Their lifespan, I think the average was supposed to be like in the 20s for the average Roman.
The mid-20s, the mid-30s, depending on the particular age and location.
And now you hear stories of people over in remote parts of the Soviet Union living well into their 120s, and nobody disputes that. They figure, well, yeah, their regimen, their diet and all that. And
well, there is actually some dispute there. When they go and examine most of those records carefully, they find that most of those people are actually very old. They're in their 80s or 90s, or even, maybe just barely over 100, but they're not the 120 or 150 that they've claimed.
Yeah. But even that, I think most people listening would accept that and say, yeah, I can see that. I think with proper techniques we can extend it to into the hundreds, and that's where, of course, Dirk Pearson says, I've never made any claims beyond 120 or so, but I think that's well realistic. But when you begin going into, well, you can live thousands of years and things like that, I think that's where your skeptics really jump in and say, now, wait a minute.
The difference is that we are a very critical point in today's technology. We can, with the micronutrients, have a chance of extending our lifespan long enough for science to solve the other problems. There is, we mentioned the death hormone project, and it is the thing that would get us next, so to speak, after normal diseases. But also the aging clock in the cells is a genetic clock, and that can be changed with genetic engineering. We today, if we could identify the exact sequence, have the technology to actually change it. So it's not a matter that we don't, it's something that cannot be done. It's something that we only need relatively small amounts of research to accomplish. The barriers are actually more political and religious, because there are a great many people, heavily religious people, who feel that it is immoral to try to extend your life. Of course, I don't know why they go to doctors to start with, but
many of them don't. You have the Christian Scientists who will not even allow, I think that's the group that will not allow blood transfusions.
But even more conventional people feel in many cases that it's immoral to extend your life, and of course the government is opposed to it because it causes hassle for the government. But that's the government's problem, frankly.
They won't stop it if we don't get nanotechnology first, as the MIT experts have pointed out. Some other country will have nanotechnology, and they will use it to bury anybody that doesn't agree with them. So
unfortunately, nanotechnology is another potential solution. And basically what nanotechnology is the ability to build working machines which are the size of viruses. And it is fairly well established that it's possible, but again, it's something we can't yet do. It may be 10, 20, 30 years before we can do that. A number of these cures are 10, 20, 30 years away, but the cures that are 10, 20, 30 years away are more permanent cures. So if we can beg, borrow, or steal a sufficient time now, then we have a very reasonable chance of our lifespan being shortened only by accident.
So the visitors from the planet Myton will not be coming here with their secrets of immortality then, right?
Well, I would certainly want to take a close look at them if they did.
Beware of Greeks bearing gifts.
If they land, give me a hammer, give me a wrench, let me look at the circuitry, and then but up until that point, I'm not too concerned about the visitors from Myton.
Go ahead and have a chat with them. What about those who say, well, fine, if everybody lives to be 1,000, what happens to the world population if you don't get the population bomb under control here? There's no room.
That's absolutely true, but there's no reason to expect that people, that is a problem that would have to be solved, but it's a problem that has to be solved now. You do have to maintain your population in balance. But there is even for that. If the space program is pushed forward vigorously enough, colonies in outer space can absorb a great deal of population overflow, and people who people who remain on Earth, of course, could not, I guess, breed indiscriminately, as many people are doing now. But people who are in space could, because there'd be a much higher accident rate, even though you wouldn't want it. But also, there's much more room in space. So the population problem is something that has to be solved in any limited area, such as the surface of a single planet.
Yeah, there's plenty of room there, but can you live there?
Definitely. Also, well, the nanotechnology doesn't just cover life extension. That would only be a small function of it. Nanotechnology would give you the capacity to build huge, livable space colonies out there, hollow cylinders that you could actually live within. Nanotechnology would allow you to produce, grow anything in any quantity. We would actually be able to heal the ecology and end pollution once we get it in full swing. People don't realize that the nano machines can actually do things that would have been considered transmutation in the days of alchemy. They can take any substance and turn it into anything else through restructuring. In other words, you wanted a steak, you could take water and a few
cannot affect
proteins.
nuclear transformation.
Yeah.
Nanotechnology works on a chemical basis, and just the same as a virus or a bacteria does. It's a collection of molecules that's performing a very explicit function. It can provide with super fast computers, a great many medical researchers. An example of what can be done medically with nanotechnology is a collection of nanomachines in a syringe could be injected in your body, and they could go through your body, removing selectively the plaque in your artery walls. There are other ways to do that, of course, right now, but that is one way that you could use nanotechnology. So instead of going through a triple heart bypass, a simple injection would provide you with the ability to remove the plaque and keep it removed.
It's like sending in a sponge and drawing out the bad.
More like
an army going in and removing it piece by piece.
We have to take a break for some messages here, and we'll come right back with Michael and Barbara Finney here. If you have any questions, join in this morning at 344 WFIR. Be happy to talk with you. 23 and a half minutes after 9 o'clock. Back in a moment here on The Shriner Show. At People's Drug, you're good. Here on WFIR, it's 26 minutes after 9 o'clock. We'll take a call from Morris this morning here on WFIR. Good morning.
Good morning. Hello.
Hi.
Yes, hi. I had a question for Barbara.
Okay.
I wanted to ask Barbara where she got the information that the Christian Science won't take blood transfusions.
I'm not sure it was the Christian Scientists. It's one group out there, though, that will not allow blood transfusions. I get them all mixed up. There are so many.
Jehovah's Witnesses.
The Jehovah's Witnesses. Sorry about that. But are not the Christian Scientists also opposed to some forms of medical treatment?
They probably are, but I don't think blood transfusions.
Well, thank you for clarifying for me which one it is. They come to the door, and you just get them all confused.
Okay.
A lot of them come to the door. Do you have any other thoughts on that, Morris?
They have a right to do that, don't they?
Oh, sure.
Sure.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody's disputing that.
Okay.
Did you have any other thoughts?
No, I think mostly what they're talking about is pure garbage.
Okay.
But thank you anyway.
You're allowed to disagree.
All right, bye.
All right, very good. How much of what you say, all right, now he brings up a point there, is theological in nature, or is it all science and...
It's all absolute science, verifiable facts. You can go right down here even to your local Virginia Tech and find paper after paper, study after study that verify everything we're saying.
Mm-hmm. Do you believe that if someone opposes you on a religious standpoint, that you're saying, well, is it what you're saying that you believe the body is there to do with, to glorify it? Or are you saying that, for instance, that the Creator would want you to try and extend your life and try and make the best of it? Or do you think where again other theologians are saying, no, you should not monkey with the creation or something like that. It was meant to be what it's meant to be. How do you feel about that?
Well, there have been a lot of people who have said things like that in the past, but they said that about medicine when it came out. They said that about ether when it came out in terms of surgery. They felt people should feel pain when they were having having surgical procedures done. In general, religion has resisted medical advances. And certainly if someone does not want to extend their lifespan, there's no reason they shouldn't.
Yeah, bye.
But,
Here's your hat. What's your hurry?
But on the other hand, Methuselah was supposed to live into his mid-900s, I believe. Mm-hmm. And so there is certainly religious precedence for long life. And just there are sufficient number of causes of death due to accident that probably most people aren't going, even with a perfect biological form of life, aren't going to live to be 1,000 or 1,000,000 years old or something. But there's no reason to quit at only a few decades. You're just getting started for a few decades.
Mm-hmm. We've been talking, I guess, mainly in generalities so far. Let's go into some of the specifics of the program, perhaps, in the next half hour. We have some more calls calling in. If you hold off until after the news, we'll take your calls after the 9:30 news, which Jay O'Neill is set to report here on WFIR. The temperature at 72 degrees at 9:30. And good morning, Jay.
Good morning, John. Good morning, everyone. Chinese students at Virginia Tech yesterday voiced their...
Help. As I extend my life, I can learn to get the mouth working a little bit better in the morning. Sometimes it doesn't always to be the case here. 25 minutes away from 10 o'clock, and we'll, shall we go back to the phones first of all here and see what's on folks' minds this morning? We'll talk to Lewis here on the Shriner Show on WFIR. Good morning.
Yes, good morning. Yes.
Did I say Lewis?
Louise.
Louise. I'm sorry. She left the E off again. Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
Uh-huh.
Okay, Louise, go ahead.
Oh, okay. I think we should keep our religion at home, and we shouldn't have someone to come to our door and to try to shove this down our throats, and especially the cult. Mm-hmm. Jehovah Witness.
Well, of course, that really wasn't the topic this morning. It was, that was brought up.
I was after the gentleman spoke a few minutes ago, I thought, well, we should stay home, read our Bible, and go with that. Mm-hmm. Don't shove it down our neighbors or whoever. right?
Well, okay, that's your opinion. What do you feel about what we were talking about this morning, life extension? Do you feel there's an intrusion of religion into that, or do you feel it's perfectly reasonable presumption to...
Reasonably.
Pardon me?
I think it is fine.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Louise. Okay.
Bye-bye.
Fair enough. Okay. All right, we'll go to line 1 with Gloria. Good morning.
Good morning, John.
Hi.
I just wanted to, I'm just laughing myself out of the trees out here, listening to these kinky guests like you had yesterday and today. God has got to have a sense of humor. He's got to be laughing over the wisdom of men today. And that's just my comment. I'm just absolutely rolling in the floor.
Well, if nothing else, we're entertaining you, aren't we?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I wish you would critique a little bit more of the public's of a healthy public's view before you bring all these guests. I mean, have one every month or so, but not every day.
Well, all I could say, Gloria, is we have the opportunity in this kind of format to bring you people with all walks of life, all different kinds of viewpoints. We're going to have, I believe, Friday, and this is not related to life extension, it's related to the person who believes the spaceships are coming, who is a skeptic. And he is a professional debunker, and he is going to come on the air and tell you that UFOs and psychic phenomena is a bunch of hooey. So you're going to hear both sides of everything.
Yeah, I mean, I can't stand the humor too much longer. Really. Thank you, John.
Okay, thank you. Fair enough. All right. Well, you raised some ire here now.
I wonder if these people get vaccinations. Do they go to the doctor? Do they have their blood pressure checked? I mean, those are all life-extending techniques, too. Is there intelligence in Roanoke?
Okay, what about some specifics now of what... And here again, we were talking generalities last half hour. I don't understand. I don't know if I believe a lot of this, but we're here to find out where you're coming from. Some specifics here. You talk about the Q10, this coenzyme. A little bit about that, perhaps.
Okay, well, let me tell you about the different nutrients, but before I do that, let me tell you about the established medical position. First of all, the American Medical Association was founded in the last century as a response with several other associations to too much quackery, so to speak, where people were being ripped off and actually hurt due to deceptive medical practices. They weren't the only medical association formed, but they have certainly become predominant in this century. They have been convicted in the Supreme Court several times for suppression of competition, such as by the chiropractors. Typically, your medical practitioner for things like heart surgery, the high-profile, visible things, is pretty much up to date on the research. It's only a couple years lag. But on your other types of research, many of your medical researchers are 10, 15, 20 years behind date. For example, the initial finding that vitamin C cured scurvy took 112 years to actually be used in some of the marine navies of the world. So consequently, if you go to your doctor and you ask him, well, do I need to take any vitamins or nutrients, and he'll tell you, you get everything you need in your diet. Well, the reason for that is in the 40s, the government, by the means of the FDA, decided that as a political policy that Americans got all the vitamins they needed in their food. So they got together a collection of people. They found out how many vitamins and nutrients they had in their food. They added 10 or 15% for safety, and they said this is what you need. Nowadays we have a nice circular argument. They point to the established RDAs, and they say, well, look, you can get this in your food if you eat a well-balanced diet. But of course, a circular argument isn't worth a whole lot. But it's over 40 years has become kind of established. Also, the average medical physician has less training in nutrition than your average health food clerk. They have 2 to 3 hours of training. Consequently, if you go to your physician and he'll tell you do not need to take vitamins and nutrients. There are exceptions. There are several dozen actual life extension doctors who work with life extension, not with aging and the problems of old age, but with the problems of preventing old age. And there are other more, I guess, flexible physicians, but there's not all that many of them comparatively, because most doctors are fairly conservative due to malpractice suits. But of your different nutrients, okay, there are a few that are very important. These are A, C, E, selenium, and CoQ10. Now, basically, most of these are antioxidants. Vitamin A in the form of regular vitamin A and the carotenoids, such as beta-carotene, help prevent several forms of cancer. Okay, vitamin C has a great many effects, including the reversal of arteriosclerosis over a long period of time. That's also assisted by vitamin E. Now, there are studies both ways, but there is gradually more and more evidence that it is effective. The medical establishment used to run studies with 100 milligrams of C and say, well, see, it doesn't work, when you really need, say, 5 or 10 grams of C to get an effective result, which is 100 times the RDA. An interesting aspect in terms of the RDAs is if you look at animal nutrition, including primates, you'll find that the amounts of vitamins recommended by the government is typically 5 to 10 times higher for animals than it is for humans. But even our very close cousins, such as other primates, aren't, don't get the same shift as we do. Animals are very valuable. Experimental lab animals are very valuable. They treat them the way they should be. On the other hand, people are subject to a political process. Vitamin E has some benefit in heart attack. It also is an antioxidant. And one of the things that seems to matter most with vitamin E is not how much vitamin E you take, but how long you've been taking it. There's a direct correlation between the number of years you've been taking vitamin E and the likelihood of a heart attack. Selenium is another antioxidant that helps prevent cancer. The American Medical Association has recently increased the RDA to 200 micrograms, but most life extenders believe you need around 800 to 1,000 micrograms. And selenium is one of the nutrients that is toxic, and a great many people say, well, gee, aren't you in danger here because of that high amount? It turns out the toxicity typically doesn't happen in the inorganic form until around 5,000 micrograms. Secondly, the organic forms of selenium typically aren't toxic to 15, 20, 25,000 micrograms, so you're well within the safety envelope. Furthermore, there is a fishing village in Japan that naturally, because of high soil levels, have gotten 800 micrograms a day for years and years. The CoQ10 is an element that is associated with the energy cycle in every cell in your body, and you have a certain amount of CoQ10 at birth. It's present in every living cell and every living creature as various other forms, CoQ1, CoQ9, CoQ8. And when you're young, your body can convert those various forms to CoQ10. Consequently, up to about age 35, you don't generally need additional CoQ10. That's not always true, but it is generally true. And after about the age 35, you lose the ability to synthesize those other forms of CoQ10, and you're dependent entirely upon your diet. And as you age, the level of CoQ10 in your cells declines in a linear relationship with age.
What is the experimentation with mice on this enzyme?
Okay, well, they have taken a group of mice with a control group, and at effective old age in mice, they have, with the experimental group, they started administering CoQ10. I don't remember the exact amounts per kilogram of food, but it was fairly conservative. But the results were that the experimental group lived 50% longer than was normal for that strain of mice.
That would have been equivalent to taking a 70 to 80-year-old human and extending their life to 140 years.
We need to take a break for some messages. If you'd like to join us this morning, whatever your opinion, 344-9347. Back in a moment on The Shriner Show. Shriner, Roanoke's news station, 12 and a half away from 10 o'clock. We're talking with Barbara and Michael Finney of their thoughts on life extension as they see it. And your questions or comments at 344-9347 on the WFIR Shriner Show. Good morning, Irv.
Morning.
Hello.
How's it going?
Well, we're hanging in there.
That's good.
What can we do for you?
Well, I do agree partially with them that there are certain circumstances which you can extend your life expectancy. But no wonder people think they're a little bit on the nut side when they make a statement like they made a few minutes ago about aging being a disease. I have yet, in all my research on my own throughout the world, known of a disease that strikes every single living organism from single cell all the way up to a human being. They say that part of aging is caused by a secretion of the pituitary gland, a hormone, I heard them say. There's an awful lot of organisms that do not have pituitary glands. They still get old. They still die.
That is true. The different mechanisms aren't necessarily the same in every species, and there are, as a matter of fact, some immortal one-celled species, such as I believe the paramecium, I'm not absolutely positive on that particular organism, but there are some immortal one-celled species.
You're saying that there are parameciums that have lived ever since the dawn of creation?
That's right. They use asexual reproduction, and they basically, an organism splits into
How do we know? We haven't, they're not tagged or anything. How do we know that they've been around all that time?
Well, they're still here.
Cockroaches are still here, but they die.
That's
in
true.
laboratory conditions, they do not die unless you smush them, and frequently when you smush them, you just get more.
I think cockroaches are abject to all the laws of physical nature. I think we should leave them out of the discussion.
Certainly, cockroaches will probably
Well,
inherit
we're talking
the Earth
cellular
and take
death rather than
nuclear war
organism
anyway.
death.
But there is no reason to believe that aging is anything more than yet another medical problem. And I define anything that makes you ill of a biological nature and they can lead to death as a disease. Now, that many other researchers also have that definition. That is not the conventional medical definition because it does affect everyone. But just because it affects everyone doesn't mean it shouldn't be classified as a disease. If everyone got arthritis, doesn't mean that you couldn't classify arthritis as a disease.
But the fact of it is, everyone does not get arthritis, and everyone does.
But that's not the that has nothing to do with the definition of disease. The number of people who get a disease doesn't have anything to do with the definition of whether it's a disease or not. It's simply the fact that everybody eventually ages and dies doesn't keep aging from being a disease.
That's true, but on the other hand, I have a friend from childhood who definitely has seen a flying saucer, but that does not mean that he's a normal person.
That's true too. However, we're not too interested in flying saucers. We're talking about a established field of medical research. It is in the minority in the medical field, but nevertheless, it is an established field of medical research. There's a great deal of research and great number of researchers in the field, and there's more and more interest in the field as itself. It's taken the medical world a long time to even conceive that aging itself can be classified as a disease. And it's certainly not universal, but it's holding more and more sway in the medical world. Right now it is in the minority position, but it is a standard established, at least in some areas of medical research, definition. And it's one that I personally agree with.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt then. The first time that you can keep somebody alive more than 100 years, I'll jump right on.
That's already been done.
Well, now, let me say that you're perfectly welcome to wait for that proof. I, however, do not intend to wait quite for that level of proof because I don't want to die waiting for the experiment to complete. So there is a little problem in requiring that level of proof. After all, if it's not true, I'm going to die anyway. If it is true, well, then I won't die. But if I wait for absolute proof of that nature, I'm going to die regardless.
John, can we give out the phone number of the Life Extension Foundation?
People are entitled to find out more if they wish.
Yes, the phone number of the Life Extension Foundation is 1-800-841-LIFE. That's 1-800-841-LIFE. And you can call them and find out more about life extension in general.
They are a nonprofit foundation, and they're primarily in business to fund research in anti-aging.
You've issued positions on such things as we talked about vitamin C a while ago, and vitamin C, from your way of thinking, has a lot more clout, I guess, than we've been talked about before. You know, have it in your orange juice and prevents colds and things like that. You associate it with cholesterol as well, right?
C may be a macronutrient as opposed to a micronutrient.
Vitamin C is in the position of being really a genetic anomaly. Mankind, the primates, the fruit bat, and the guinea pig are the only known mammals which do not synthesize vitamin C within their own bodies. All mammals which synthesize vitamin C within their own bodies synthesize it at a level comparable to about 10 grams a day, considerably higher in the case of disease or injury or some other stress or trauma. But we appear to have lost the genetic ability to synthesize vitamin C. It turns out the synthesis of vitamin C is a step in three enzyme step in conversion of glucose to vitamin C, and we have lost the ability for the middle segment of the chain. Again, this is one of the things that genetic engineering will be able to cure, because we now are either at or very close to the point of being able to correct that type of genetic flaw in the human being. And
you associate that with the cholesterol and heart disease?
That is correct. Cholesterol does not, is associated with heart disease, but it does not appear to be the cause of heart disease. Studies where people have artificially lowered the cholesterol have not affected the corresponding heart disease, because plaque formation is capable of proceeding even with very, very low cholesterol levels. In other words, cholesterol is a symptom and not the cause.
We have a break for a couple of more messages. We'll be coming right back and continue our discussion, concluded as it were, with Barbara and Michael here on Life Extension. What are your thoughts at 344-9347? Back in a moment. Barbara and Michael this morning, and we'll go to the phones with Ed this morning here on the Charter Show at WFIR. Good morning.
Good morning. I missed the first part of this program. First of all, I'd like to know what your credentials are. And the other thing is, where do you operate out of?
Okay, first of all, we have no credentials whatsoever. We are simply two private citizens who have got interested in life extension and have spent maybe a year doing research in our spare time into the field. So we can't claim to be affiliated with anyone, nor can we claim to have any credentials of that nature.
I consider myself more of a life extension activist at this point.
You do not operate out of an office or anything then?
That is correct.
No.
Oh, I see. Well, you gave out an 800 number.
Right. We're members of that foundation.
Where is that?
That's in Hollywood, Florida.
Oh, okay. All righty. Thank you very much.
All right. Michael, you wanted to wrap up on one more note here, and we'll allow the couple of minutes here.
I didn't really finish discussing coenzyme Q10. One of the things on coenzyme Q10 is it has been found in Japan that every heart patient is seriously deficient in coenzyme Q10. And if heart patients are given a coenzyme Q10 supplement, roughly 80% of them, usually basically those without physical damage, can make dramatic improvements. It is an extremely popular medical technique in Japan. And it is almost unused here. As an example, my mother was diagnosed with heart disease last year, was told she had about 6 months to live, and the doctors basically would just wash their hands of her, but they continue to see her. We put her on 150 milligrams a day of coenzyme Q10, which, by the way, is a therapeutic dose. Most people would normally only take about 30 milligrams, and she went back a year later. She's walking 3 miles a day now, doing things she couldn't do 5 years ago. And her doctors told her flatly that they thought she would be dead today. At very minimum, in a wheelchair on oxygen. Mm-hmm. And basically, a great many heart patients can today benefit from coenzyme Q10. But one of the problems with vitamins is they are not drugs. The American Medical Association only deals with drugs. They don't deal with vitamins and other micronutrients. So it is a very slow process in America to get any physician to treat you with any micronutrient, even if other countries do so.
All right, I'm not sure here if we have time for one more call or not. We have another one coming in. Okay, we'll go ahead and take it very quickly here. Lee? Hello?
Hello.
You have 20 seconds.
All right, where do you get this coenzyme Q10?
The health food store. Nature's Outlet has it, and also GNC has it, locally in Roanoke.
Thank you.
All right, she did it. Very good. Less than 20 seconds.
Somebody out there semi-intelligent.
Well, we'll leave it on that thought then. If you agree or disagree, you're invited to call back at 344-WFIR. Right now we have to take a break for the news. Next hour, it's Hero Makers and Haunted.